What's good, YouTube? And welcome to the house. I think there's a lot of hype around the Time Lords right now, and deservedly so. When a card gets printed that says half your opponent's life points, it's pretty insane. They also have Sandion, who I believe does 2,000 burn, but also can't be searched by this card because they need 0 attack to be searched out by this card, or special summoned from the deck by this card. So that guarantee 2,000, that clutch could have been, is not searchable, and I think that's on purpose. I think that would have really made the deck insane. But Time Maiden does have this special restriction. Whenever you're special summoning one from the deck using its secondary effect, you cannot special summon other monsters during the turn you activate this effect. And I think there's a card that's really synergetic with the deck that clashes with this, but I think there's a lot of ways around it that we'll talk about in a second. So just a note, Time Maiden's going up. The others haven't yet, and two that I kind of like are Camion. Camion does 500 damage only, but it's also non-targeting removal. You shuffle a card your opponent controls into the deck, and if you do, inflict 500. So it still gets a little burn, but it can get rid of really problematic things for you, potentially. But I don't think it's really the star that we need. A really good one is Lazion, and this one destroys decks like Lightsworn and forces them to re-resource up. Basically, at the end of the battle phase of this card battled, shuffle all cards from your opponent's graveyard into the deck. This is so good against a lot of decks that try to resource game the graveyard. Also, once per turn, if your opponent draws a card, inflict 1,000 damage to your opponent. That's really good because it doesn't say by effect or anything. You can do it to their natural draw. So this 1,000 matters a lot. It's kind of how they would recycle and do extra burn damage already with Chain Burn. And I think this is a decent one as well. But let's get into the meat and potatoes of why I think they might want to go different than Chain Burn and try to make a turbo that ends up in a degenerate card that's seen play before. Super Dreadnought Rail Cannon Gustav Max. So once per turn, you can detach one Xyz material from this card, inflict 2,000 damage to your opponent. And what rank or level do all the Time Lords have? Could it be? They fit perfectly with him. They're 10s. So in order to get past the Time Maiden effect, she's still very useful if you're using something like the Brilliant Engine, but you could special summon her, tribute, search your Time Lord you want to use that halves their life points. Then you can activate something like Brilliant Fusion after you normal summon your first Time Lord, because the Time Lords don't restrict you from any kind of summoning. Then you can send something that specials itself like Wolf or Trick Clown, I would think Trick Clown, and then tribute both off, freeing your extra monster zone using your additional normal summon, because you can tribute summon the Time Lords, and there you have 2 Time Lords on the field. If you happen to have Sandion in this and the half one, that's game going second. Assuming no negations, hand traps, blah blah blah. I know but I think along these lines, people will find a lot of use for Dreadnought, but at the same time, the Chain Burn variant might be better. How do you guys plan to play your Time Lords? Do you think this could be a very useful tool, and are you already utilizing it? I would suggest getting the Ultras since they're still relatively cheap. You can get one for $3 on eBay before it goes up a decent chunk. And over here on TCG Player, the Ultras are 4 lowest, and do quickly head back up towards $5 also. But don't fret. That's just for people who are addicted to rarity. I believe Gustav Max is still like under $1 for the rest of them. And something else that kind of silently doubled up a bit ago is Super Dreadnought Rail Cannon Super Dora. It actually kind of just doubled in price randomly. You see its market price 46 cents. It actually was trending downward over time. And now, Epic up here, with 55 of them, geez, is sitting near that 80-cent mark. It's a pretty decent card also, but I think you would be going for burn consistently in the deck, getting them to really as low of life points as you can, and then sitting on the cards that are protecting you, which are the Time Lords themselves as well. But again, how do you plan to play your Time Lord decks? I'm really interested in the deck. I think I'll be playing it quite a bit on stream once I have access to the cards, but I don't know that Dueling Book will put them out till later when they're actually legal in Japan, so Something I've been looking around at is the continuing fall of a lot of prices from Expo, although Saryuja's up a little bit and Nightfall's up. Everything else is just steady falling. Inspector Border under $8. It sold back down from its $8 mark almost to $7. But one that I really want to focus on here is, hey, Trune, we're in Banlist season, and back row removal becomes very, very important right after a ban list. This card's sitting at $5.50 over here, where it's a whole dollar under eBay as well. TCG player kind of winning the always check both battle there, and I think it'll win another one later too. So it's just a little bit of a thing to consider. You don't want to be stuck without this card, I would think. If we got into a slower format, if Paleo Frogs become like a really intense deck, that Cosmic Cyclone's not going to get you there. Maybe Twin Twister will, but this card could really come in clutch depending on how the ban list really shapes up our format in the future. But it's just awesome to see all these Expo prices falling too. Since we have the special editions coming in and cooling out the market, it's been a joy to watch everything just slowly and steadily get cheaper for Duelists as we head towards that WCQ season. Metaphys Horse, I'm not really sure about this card. It could be needle fiber hype. I heard people like it with pendulum monsters because of the additional pendulum effect, which is what I would think is the goo for this card. If you use a pendulum monster, your opponent chooses a monster they control and gives control of it to you, but it cannot attack this turn. That doesn't matter. That's great link material there that you can just use and continue to go up the tree. But the ultras are relatively unmoving over here on eBay if we check it out. $1.80 versus $1.60, 20-cent bump. It's actually under market price for an unlim here. And you see the next first ed's actually quite the boost. So maybe it's hard to buy something from this guy, but he has so many sales and is a top-rated seller. I imagine not. Let's see how quickly it bumps up. Yeah, it's relatively still $2 and less. So they are moving. There are low quantities. It's up to you if you think you're going to want this card to get the Ultra now, because the Ultimate's kind of out of price range. And the Ultra on eBay, $4, huh? It's pretty expensive. It goes up very quickly. So eBay kind of ran out of this card first, it seems, but there's 43 results searching him. It's pretty crazy. We got the Japanese versions. Let's put the E in on there and see how many English copies. 18 English copies, it would seem. All right, that's pretty intense. And let's see if any ultimates sit anywhere either. I assume it's needle fiber when it comes to synchros these days, but do tell me if there's a different reason. If you think there's something else out there hyping this up or making it good, do let me know in the comment section down below. If I've missed something, I really do want to know why this got good. And I guess I would suggest getting the Ultras as they're almost out if you really think you'll be using this card. I know this is like, what, isn't this the original Metaphys card as well, in a sense? Out of all the... Oh, it's not the original, right? We got Metaphys Arm Dragon from DUEA. This is from Secrets, so that's later. Yeah. So it's not the original either. Good catch, John. Good catch. Nobody will pick you apart on that one in the comment section. But yeah, we did have that new Metaphys decoy dragon, but I think that's got nothing to do with this either. Just reviewing reviewing Kaiba's collection. We've got the prices slowly dripping down to meet the prices of Ash Blossom on eBay, still sitting and continuing to pop up around the 42, 43 mark. So Ash has been stably down over on eBay and is finally starting to meet that fate on TCG Player. But it really feels like TCG Player has inflated prices as we see Ghost Ogre here versus $12, $12.75, when the lowest is almost 14, like, you know, almost... It's really weird just to see consistently with Kaiba's World how TCG Player is higher on this set. It's kind of just that culture of TCG Player is its own market with independent sellers. eBay is its own market with independent sellers. That's why I say always check both. But realistically, you should be shopping around on even more sites than that. But what I really wanted to bring this up for is I'm surprised at the stable value that the hand traps have had, despite so many being busted. I've seen a few shelves restock Kaibas, but not many. Like, people are showing just a ton of them on a shelf that they found. So I think it's just a few restocks, and I don't think they're printing this again right now. But we saw Yugi's World get reprinted and thrown on shelves again. We even saw those original God Card Legendary collections get reprinted, thrown on the shelf. I think GX / Raw Yellow Mega Pack are the only ones that didn't get printed in the ground, along with 5Ds. Like, so we really don't know how they're going to treat this Legendary collection in the future, but we'll wait and see the quantities and the printings. But thanks for joining me on today's Market Watch. Again, my main interest, and sorry if it took up a lot of time, is the Time Lords. I'm really excited about them personally as a duelist. I will be trying them out and trying to figure out how to break them into the game. And I believe the one that halves life points doesn't deal damage, if I'm not mistaken, since it halves. So it's definitely interesting how that's gonna affect like anti-burn cards as well. But I think definitely if there's a way to get consistently to Sandy on that card and this, that's game. And I'm really excited about that too, and like figuring out how to try to break it. But of course, hand traps are there, boys. Realistically, that is a rough combo to complete without your opponent interacting with you.